You want to see all the food that we prepped?
Wow, look at that.
Look at that. And then I made some rice, but it's black rice. So we have pinto beans and black beans. Then we have sweet potato. Then we have carrots, onions, tomato, and Brussels sprouts. I don't have any garlic. I forgot to get garlic. I didn't see any at the market, and I forgot to ask Dayna. I know. It's really bad. But I got these cute little things. Here, wait, let's hold them up. Here, hold them up.
Yeah, they're so cute. Look, these little spices.
Oh, I love these. And what do you got there? List them off for me.
Paprika, cumin, cayenne pepper.
Fenugreek, I don't even know how to say that. Fenugreek and coriander ground.
Yep, perfect.
Okay. We do have black bean sauce with garlic. I don't know if that would work.
Do you have powdered garlic at all, or not even that?
Oh,
maybe.
You know what? You are brilliant. I might stand by. I have curry. I have garlic powder.
Yay.
Garlic powder.
That'll work.
Quarantine fashion, and we have garlic powder.
These are tough times.
There was no garlic in the market.
See, this is exactly the way it should work, because people are going to be at home and they're going to look through their pantry and go, oh shit, I don't have one of those things. I'm like, but you do. You do indeed have the thing.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
So
and
do
then
you guys want to
get regular ginger, but I got this.
Oh, that's even better. That lasts so much longer.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I like your positive attitude.
Right?
Well, you know what they say, grated ginger is greater. So.
Oh, I didn't know they said that.
It's right there on the label for all eyes.
That's true.
It is. So do you guys want to give a quick rundown? I can give you an idea of how we're going to flow through this, and then we can dive right in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So the first thing we're going to make in this trusty pot right here is we're going to make a yellow Indian curry, which is super simple, easy to make. Everybody has most of these ingredients. And then the next thing we're going to make, I decided, because you're going to do sunflower seeds, I was going to use pumpkin seeds. And we're going to make a seed meat, which is a raw protein substitute. It's a really great option for people, and it's super easy and shelf stable. And then lastly, I was thinking we could make some fire cider, which is like a immunity shot. And it's done with apple cider vinegar, honey, lemon, and cayenne. And if you don't have honey, or you're a vegan and you don't want to use honey, maple syrup also works just fine. So
wow,
that's kind of like the rundown.
I need to take notes. But do you have paper? I need to take notes while we do this, because I really do.
It all up.
Oh yeah.
Stand by. We're very excited.
Because literally curry is like, I've been wanting to learn how to make this forever.
Yes. Okay.
And it's so easy. And I'm doing a coconut milk free version. So you won't even have to worry about it.
Okay.
I feel like you're back in school. Literally, notebook paper.
Love it.
Notebook paper.
I use it all the time.
Liberty, I would expect nothing less from you, my dear.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right. So
we've prepped, and we'll follow you.
Amazing. So I left a couple of things to do for the camera, just to kind of show you guys, and it's also a good way to show some knife skills to the people watching and our friends and families at home. So I'm going to do everything today with a cleaver. And the reason is I like the cleavers for maneuverability. Some people are intimidated by it because of its size.
Yes, we are.
But what's great about is it's a lot of surface area for you to knuckle up against. And what I mean is when you're chopping something, so I'm going to start with an onion, you have all of this surface area up against my hand that prevents me from cutting myself. If it's a small, thin blade, there's more likelihood that I can cut myself. But with a wide blade, I actually have a lot of surface area to protect myself against. So it's really handy.
I've actually threatened my children with a cleaver, but I've never actually used one.
And it's really great for that as well. It's an excellent intimidation tactic. So I'm gonna just start chopping it down into what I would consider like a loose chop. Okay. And we're gonna get the pot started to heat up a little bit. I'm putting the heat around medium low, just getting the pot warm, but we're not in a rush.
Should I start doing that as well on my end?
Yeah, just mirror everything that I'm doing.
Okay.
And
feel free to ask
You're gonna
questions
take
too.
notes,
Yeah.
and you're gonna tell me what to do.
Okay. Okay.
Pot. Can I use a wok?
For this one, you're going to want a pot of some kind. It can even be just a deep dish pan, but ideally a pot is your best bet.
Okay. What about this pan?
Is this deep enough?
Or
I would go a little bit deeper.
what about
Or this would be good.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
What about this?
Oh yeah, that's ideal. That's the most
Okay.
ideal.
Perfect.
You know
Teamwork
what?
makes-
On there, that orange one.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
I would do that one, but I think
Okay.
the electric
Got
instead of the fire.
Got it.
Because it has something that it doesn't. want
Okay.
to do. Okay.
Heat pot.
Heat pot. Do I add
Awesome.
any olive oil?
So we're gonna not use olive oil today, just for health reasons, and I'll give you some insight as to why. So
Okay.
on the stove, our temperatures are going to be upwards of 200 degrees, and when we're heating up oils, we want to be mindful that we're not going to heat an oil beyond its temperature limit. Oil, like olive and some of the other delicate oils, tend to burn and eventually go rancid at high heats. So
Okay.
olive oil I would save for dressings, for toppings, for things that are very low temperature heating.
What about
Instead-
like avocado oil?
Avocado is what I'm going to use today. So,
Yeah.
I'm a
Because
big
it
fan
has
of,
a high heat, right?
yep. And so we're going to just dress the bottom of the pan or the pot with a little bit of oil. I'm thinking literally like 3 tablespoons worth, just enough to get the base of the pot covered. You don't have to do a whole lot. We're not frying anything.
Oh, I don't know if I have avocado oil.
If you don't have avocado oil, coconut oil is
I have
also a great
coconut.
substance. Yep,
I have coconut.
Okay.
All right,
Perfect.
we got coconut.
perfect.
Like this little
Yep.
jar of coconut. Okay.
Brilliant. So do about 3 tablespoons worth.
Okay. You
And-
also put this all over your face too.
Oh yeah.
Body.
It's
Hair.
definitely a good body oil, hair oil. And so right off the bat, I'm prepping the onion first because the onion is one of those things that when we get it in the oil, simmering in the pan, and we start to add other ingredients, the onions are going to suck up all the flavors of the other ingredients. It's a really good vessel for the future flavors we add.
Do you love fish the way you described
Oh my God.
it?
Do you not have a show?
Like, this is amazing. This
I
is amazing.
do have a show.
Okay. Because I was gonna say, if someone hasn't put you on TV yet, it's gonna happen.
Oh, well, I'm flattered. I've been told I'm like the Bob Ross of the kitchen.
That's
Yes.
so good.
Yes, and it's so calming. Like, oh.
You know,
so
we
good.
should pitch him
Yes.
we should pitch you for a story at KTLA, like quarantine cooking.
Quarantine. Oh my gosh.
Corona
Well,
cooking,
we
quarantine
called
cooking.
it-
Quarantine cooking.
We've been
Because,
calling
you know,
it
like-
at the house, Quarantine Cuisine.
Quarantine
Quarantine
cuisine is even
This
better.
is perfect.
Like things like, I like how you have like substitutions for things like you don't panic when you don't have something.
Oh, of course
I don't know
not.
if he's ever panicked in his life. Like, he's so
Right, you're
chill.
so calm.
Yeah.
But like, I'm just thinking like all the things that we're lacking, like I like how this is all like vegan or whatever. There's no meat in the store.
Mhm.
There's no
Yeah.
bread. There's no whatever. These are all things you can get.
And you
Totally.
said garbanzo beans. They didn't have garbanzo beans, so I had to get.
Right.
Well, I already had black beans and pinto beans, and you said it was still okay. So
Still great.
that made me feel good. How many onions? Because I have this whole little cute.
Is
bowl.
that one whole onion?
It is.
Perfect. So we're going to add that onion in. I
Okay.
did mine a loose chop, and I'll show you guys on the camera what the loose chop looks like. So that's what
That's
the.
perfect. You did
Yeah.
perfect.
Okay. So
We did that.
So now that the
But we
pan
made
is,
it hurt.
yeah, we want the pan to have the oil. I call it shimmering. You can see just by looking at the oil that it's kind of has a shimmering texture to it. It just means the oil's hot, but not smoking. This is a good point. You can tell that it has a simmer to it once we put the onion in. Some people will make the mistake of trying to put food in the pan early before the oil is hot. And unfortunately, that causes the food to soak up the oil and makes the food inherently more fatty, just a little bit more of an issue for people with high cholesterol. So it's nice to be able to heat up that oil first.
So he's so
good.
smart.
You're
He's
so good.
smart, and he truly cares. He does meal prepping for people.
You are so good at this.
It's amazing. Okay, I'm waiting
We're just getting started.
I know, but even using the shimmering oil, I was like, shimmering oil. Did you say simmering or shimmering?
I said shimmering.
Like sparkly oil is right up my alley.
Glitterally.
So good. Literally is so good.
So the next thing we're going to throw in the pot is going to be our sweet potato. Sweet potato takes a little bit longer to cook than the other vegetables. So we're going to get this guy prepped and ready. If you guys have it already chopped, awesome.
We do.
I'm going to chop mine really quick.
Okay. All I have to say is that coconut oil smells really good. Really good. This.
Do we go ahead and put this sweet potato in?
Once the onions have had a chance to kind of turn a couple bits. So what you're going to do is you're going to fold them in a few times. Give them a couple stirs.
Am I going to bug you if I ask you questions while you're doing this?
Not at all. That's the whole purpose.
No, I think that's good because I think when people watch this, they're going to wonder.
Well, see, what I'm wondering
people have
is
questions.
If you should do like a cooking class. Like, can you do it on Zoom where people just all pile in?
I am doing a cooking class this coming week.
But we're okay. Like, so let's say we all get on lockdown, right?
Yep.
Is there a way you can do like a cooking class and everybody can kind of like join in?
That's exactly what the class is. Actually, it's entirely aimed for people who are in their homes, can't leave, and we're going to do what I refer to as improvisational cooking. So we're going to go through everyone's pantry as a group, and we're going to see what we have, and we're going to find a commonality that we can all cook together.
This is genius.
I mean, he's brilliant. You're welcome.
This is genius. Yeah. You know, I feel like I thought of this for you, so I feel like you should.
He's like, I already have this.
He's like, yeah, thank you for your ideas, but no. Okay, we're ready. We're ready for this. Okay.
So we're gonna take the sweet potato and we're gonna add it in now.
Okay, sweet potato going in.
Okay.
Oh, sweet potato. Casual.
We can still put it in.
No. Not in coronavirus.
Oh, well,
okay, that's true. Because he would kill. I know. I have a very clean place, but we just had some stuff on the floor, and I'm not gonna put it in the pot.
Okay. All right.
Dayna doesn't cook.
I'm not very germy.
Good protocols.
I mean, coronavirus I am now, but
I'm with you though, dear. Honestly, I'm one of those kids who, growing up, I would touch dirt and then I'd touch my face and I wouldn't think twice about it.
Yeah, me too. And pick my nose and all of it.
Yep. Next up, make this process so easy, is we're gonna do our garlic, our ginger, and our turmeric. So and for people who don't know what these things look like at home, which not everyone has the luxury or privilege to get to see these foods in their raw form.
Look at that, the raw form.
Yes, this is our turmeric. It's beautiful and bright orange and yellow.
Yep.
And it looks a similar root to ginger. And what's great about both of these is if you get them in their raw form like this, they hold for a couple of weeks. You can leave them out on your countertop, and they'll actually hold for quite a while. And in your fridge, they'll hold even longer. So really valuable herbs to have in your home.
Oh, here it is. Oh, good. Okay. So you have the real stuff in the raw form, and you just showed us the beautiful colors. I have it, not so cute, but it's doable. This is, coronavirus times, and we're going with what we have, right?
It's a COVID operation.
It's a COVID. Oh my God, you're so good. Amazing.
So just for people who are doing this substitution, if you're doing fresh ingredients, you're probably going to want about a heaping tablespoon of turmeric.
Okay.
And a teaspoon of ginger. And I just diced them up nice and small.
Yeah, if ours are like this grated ginger,
or
Yeah.
in the
So
spice thing? How much?
the grated ginger is still technically what I would consider a fresh ginger, in the sense that you don't have to substitute the quantity. So you'll still do a teaspoon. However, with the dry powdered ingredients, you're going to want to double the quantity, because when they're dry, they lack some of the potency and some of the flavor. They're still good.
Write that down.
You just have to double that down.
Can you repeat that real quick?
Yeah. So for dry spices and herbs, you're just going to want to double the quantity if the recipe calls for fresh, because fresh are more
double quantity.
Okay, ginger then.
Awesome. So ginger and turmeric and garlic. This is that phase. And I have my garlic here.
Okay, and it's beautiful.
All diced up.
So that's a teaspoon. Teaspoon of fresh, and then 2 teaspoons of the spice.
Yeah, garlic, we're doing about a tablespoon for the garlic.
Tablespoon of garlic, okay.
Yeah, and if you're doing powdered, I would do a double tablespoon.
How much did you put of the ginger and the turmeric?
Turmeric was a tablespoon.
1 tablespoon, got it.
Ginger was a teaspoon, and garlic was a tablespoon. And if you're doing it powdered, you would just double any of those.
Garlic. We're doing double garlic, and then are we gonna do 2 tablespoons of the turmeric?
If it's powdered, sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So some really great.
Interesting.
It's already smelling so good.
There's so many good take homes to this. Like, I love this.
Okay, this is smelling so good.
So just for everyone's benefit, to understand why these herbs are great right now especially, is, first of all, let's just go with ginger. Ginger is amazing. Ginger is antiseptic. It's super helpful for like tummy aches and like nausea and all the things that might accompany some illness. It's also just super good to keeping the body regulated. I will say be careful with ginger and not having it in every meal, maybe having it once a day, once every other day. And it's because ginger is not a tonic herb, meaning to have it every day would begin to reduce the effects on the body and can sometimes even cause harm. It might cause more inflammation than necessary. So it's good to be able to switch them out with other herbs. The same.
God, it smells so good. This could be like a candle.
Oh, it is. It is a candle in my kitchen, that's for sure.
Right? Okay.
And then as far as garlic goes, everyone loves garlic. We all know that it makes us feel good. But what garlic's doing is it's antiviral, antibacterial. So it's actually working its way through our system and using its warming elements. It's a very warming spice. One of the properties of it in Ayurveda is that it helps warm the body, warm all the systems, including the gut. So it's really helpful for reducing illness, especially in the wintertime or in cold weather. So it's really good for cold and flu symptoms. Again, it's not a tonic herb, so I wouldn't use it every day unless you're sick and you're treating something, because it is so warming to the body. And this is where turmeric.
I love you even more after I've cooked with you. Like, I loved you before, now I love you even more.
I love you too. And I also, like, after I'm smelling this, I'm like, oh my God, this is like, oh my God, it smells so good.
It's so,
okay, sorry, keep going.
No, of course. One of the things I love most about this dish in particular is the turmeric. The turmeric is the all-star in this dish. It's what gives it its rich color. It also holds one of the keys to this health period right now is anti-inflammation. Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
It's pretty, right?
Look at us.
Oh,
yes,
so
it looks the same. It looks the same.
I love it.
That's shocking.
I love it.
So this is a good part now to start adding in some of our other spices and herbs and our vegetable stock. So for people at home who are not familiar with vegetable stock or what that means, if you're not vegan and you'd prefer to do a chicken stock, that's fine. It has great fats. We're going to substitute some of those fats today using other sources. Like, for example, the coconut oil is a great fat. But I made a vegetable stock from scratch today. So this vegetable stock here, you can see it looks kind of like a chicken stock. And this vegetable stock literally was broccoli, onions, and green pepper boiled down into just really clean water. And then I added salts and different seaweeds to give it some more of that flavor, that umami,
Of course you did.
that savory flavor.
I love it. I would have done that too if I'd known. But instead,
I realized that I ran out of vegetable stock, which I normally keep
Yeah.
jars or
Yeah.
cartons of.
Yeah, you
So I
can't find
decided-
it in the store.
Exactly. So instead, I made some. For people who don't have the time or don't have the energy, putting water in is fine. The vegetables in the curry themselves will flavor the water. So if you're going to do water, we're going to do about 5 or 6 cups of water.
this
And
is
I
too
have
much.
about, yeah, and that's fine. If you have a little, and really just add water to the level that you'll begin to see it. So right now, my stock goes up to right above my veggies. That's exactly where I want the water for now. And you could add more or less water as we go.
Your stock goes right up to where? The top of the veggies?
Yeah, my stock stops right above the veggies. You can see it's
Okay.
just covering them.
Okay. I had a little vegetable stock that I was heating up, so I added 2 cups, so maybe I'll add 3.
Perfect. This is a good time to add our other spices, our carrots and celery and Brussels sprouts. So
Okay.
some really awesome things in the food world and nutrition. Celery is amazing for our bones. It's extremely hydrating. Not only does it have a large water content, but celery also has a lot of essential vitamins and minerals that help us stay hydrated. It helps us with water retention. So in this time,
Real quick,
Yeah.
can I ask you, so you're adding in the other spices plus carrots?
yeah, so I'm going to show you guys spice by spice, but I'm going to start
Okay.
with the celery and carrots and the
Okay.
Brussels
Oh, I
sprouts.
didn't do celery. Wait,
That's
I
okay.
don't have celery.
That's
No.
okay.
I have carrots.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
it's
got
fine.
carrots.
So in cooking, it's called a mirepoix, and it refers to celery, carrots, and onions. It's like the foundation of a soup or a curry or a stew. The reason being is whether they knew it or not, original cultures that started to use that cooking, specifically French and European cuisine, they focused on those ingredients because they're very good at reinforcing the body naturally. They have a lot of important vitamins and minerals, and they're very cheap ingredients. You know, onions, celery, and carrots, for a lot of people, was all they could afford, or cabbage. So it really was a great foundation for it, and we still use it today. So I'm going to add these guys in. Again, celery is really good for hydration and good for your bones. Carrots are good for the eyes and good for the hair and nails. And then Brussels sprouts, super amazing green. Brussels sprouts are in the cabbage family. That's why they look like little cabbages. We're going to stir these guys in. And if you need more water now, yeah, if you're starting to need more water in this process, I would add some in now to just cover it up. So it's like a nice little layer of water above the veggies.
I'm just adding filtered water.
That's fine. Yeah, I would say don't add water you wouldn't feel comfortable drinking, right?
Add water to cover veggies, right?
Yep. You don't want to fully submerge them, just enough so that they're covered. They're not sticking out of the water.
They look beautiful.
They're only going to get more beautiful as we add more spices, I promise.
I love it.
So this is a good point. This is a good point in the process to stir deep. Stir from the bottom of the pot upwards. This makes sure that nothing on the bottom gets burned, and we can actually turn the heat up just a little bit.
Okay.
We want to bring our broth to a little bit of a simmer now. So we want to get it up, and then we'll bring it back down.
Okay.
So next up, ingredient-wise, let's throw our black pepper in.
Okay.
Black pepper is referred to as the king of spices. It helps bring out the other flavor profiles of other foods, along with it being an amazing assistant to turmeric. And I didn't get a chance to tell you, but turmeric is the god of anti-inflammation. It helps reduce inflammation and stress in the body. So when we have turmeric, one of its biggest siblings, one of its biggest best friends is black pepper. Black pepper has an ingredient called capsaicin, capsicum, which activates the turmeric. It needs to be activated by some sort of spice. So for us today, the black pepper. I
usually take 1,000 milligrams of turmeric a day with black pepper for anti-inflammatory effects. So that's good.
Totally. Yes. It's great good for pre and post workout. It's good for people who work a lot on their feet and are having a lot of blood flow and inflammation in the legs and low body. So it's really, really great for that. And some people will even do turmeric tinctures. So a little dropper of a turmeric extract under the tongue, sublingual. That seems to be a really popular way of taking it as well.
Okay.
So now that we've got our pepper, we're going to go down the line. We're going to go right down to paprika. Paprika is amazing. I love it. It has anti-inflammatory properties, lowers blood pressure, good for eye health. And I just love it for its digestion purposes. You'll notice that when you eat it, it reduces gas and it reduces bloating. And
Yay! You got our attention.
yeah, it makes you camera ready. I'll say about 2 heaping tablespoons.
Okay.
Paprika is a friend of ours. We can add as much as we like. It's a tonic herb. There's no negative side effects to having it daily. I'm using a smoked paprika, also known as a Hungarian paprika.
Of course you are.
I love it because it's got a smokiness to it. It adds like another dynamic of flavor to this dish.
So you said 2 heaping
teaspoons. Two heaping tablespoons. Nice big spoonfuls.
Okay.
And for people who are curious, the quantity, tablespoon to teaspoon, it's 2 teaspoons to a tablespoon. So you don't have to Google it. I promise I got you there. Next up is cayenne pepper. Cayenne is amazing. It's super good, super antiviral, antiseptic. It's really popular in North African cuisine, in Middle Eastern cuisine, and even throughout Southern Asia. Cayenne is great for a lot of different things, but I like it especially in curries because it balances out the wide spectrum of other flavors. You'll notice in the curry, we're adding a lot of different types of flavors. In Indian cuisine, which is predominantly where these curries come from, they like to use a wide spectrum of flavors, so it creates this full mouth effect. So it's not just sweet, it's not just spicy, it's not just sour or savory or tart or umami. It kind of hits all of those notes. And that also creates this sort of inherent joy effect in the person eating the food. So
inherent joy effect.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want that, right?
Yeah, come on, people. Who doesn't want to feel good?
Who doesn't want that?
Especially right now.
So I added about a teaspoon of cayenne.
Uh-oh. Oops.
Well, we added a little bit more.
We might have added just about 4 times that much.
That's okay.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be good and spicy.
I love spice.
So joyous.
We're going to be just joyous. Yeah.
So for our people at home, a great way to balance that out, if that
Their
happens.
front desk is calling.
Hold on, stand-by. Let's decline that.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh
no!
No, you're good. You're good.
We're good.
Okay.
We're back.
We're back.
That commercial integration was brought to you by So cumin right up is amazing. Cumin is our next spice. We're going to add about 2 tablespoons, nice heaping tablespoons of cumin. And cumin is awesome because it's one of like the quintessential savories. You find it in so many different cultures spanning from North and South America to Europe to Africa to Asia. It's all over the place. Cumin is super readily available. It's one of those things that we really can't get enough of as humans. We love it.
As humans?
As humans. Human beings.
He needs to come on like weekly.
Oh my God.
Oh. And how much? Before
That's
2
tablespoons.
heaping tablespoons. Actually, listen this time.
All ears on deck.
This looks good.
Next up is cinnamon. Cinnamon's awesome. We love cinnamon in the holidays. It's another warming spice, similar to our black pepper or garlic. Cinnamon is great. It comes in so many different forms.
There's
I love.
Let me call.
Okay. Got it.
Awesome.
God, that smells good.
Cinnamon's really great for a lot of reasons. It has the same anti-inflammatory properties, so it's a good support for the turmeric. It's warming. It creates warmth in the body for cold weather, fighting off the cold and the flu. And it's it also just happens to be an antioxidant. It's really high in antioxidants.
Yes.
So that's a really great property for us.
Okay.
So next up is our coriander.
Okay.
Coriander has lots of functions. I love it. And for people who don't know at home, coriander is also the same as cilantro. It's the same plant. Coriander is the seed of the cilantro plant. So if you have an allergy or a distaste for cilantro, it doesn't actually translate to coriander. You can actually still enjoy coriander without having that aversion that you would with cilantro if you don't like cilantro.
How much are we using of this?
We're about to use probably a teaspoon to start with.
Okay. Okay.
And this one we're going to add maybe a little bit more later to taste.
Okay.
So we'll keep that on hand. Now, I decided to diversify some of our ingredients. So I'm not just using fresh and powdered. I'm also going to use some essential oils of different foods. And I think that'll add some interesting dynamic to this as well. And it gives people at home a chance to observe maybe how they can use their essential oils in their cooking if they're people who use essential oils. And it might inspire some who don't yet to maybe use them.
Okay, so should I be adding essential oils?
You don't have to. I'm gonna add some of these other ingredients in just for the sake of education. So right now I have rosemary essential oil.
Okay.
And I'm literally gonna add one drop of oil to this entire pot. And that's because oils, for essential oils, tend to be a lot stronger than their powdered or fresh counterpart.
Got it.
So I'm adding one tiny drop of that. And I just want to share with you some research I did about rosemary just because of how powerful it is. And this time especially, rosemary and oregano are going to be really good for us. Rosemary is antibacterial and can treat a host of respiratory problems. So right now, this is amazing. It can be done in food. It can be inhaled through a diffuser or just breathing it in, aromatherapy style. And then oregano is immune boosting, good for digestion, good for bone health, manages diabetes, and even increases energy levels because we're going to feel a little lethargic staying at home a lot in the next few weeks. The next one.
Should this be boiling, by the way?
It should be. It should be on a nice simmer. So now if the water, if it's come to a boil, let's lower it down back to a simmer and give the pot a nice big stir.
Got it.
How are we doing?
Good. Really good. Okay.
Oh,
I'm sorry, Liberty. Liberty, you've been replaced. I think she's just gonna take over completely now.
What's up?
I think she's replaced you. I think she's just that good.
I lowered it to.
If anyone can replace me, it's her.
No, I mean, if you knew my cooking record, you would not say that.
We're gonna change it.
You need to turn it down a bit.
The other way.
Am I turning it higher?
I need to turn it down, and she's turning it up. Oh, I love her.
Really?
Yeah.
But it looks like it's going down.
No, that's wider, so this is down. That's low. Yeah, this is doing it. It'll go this way, but that way. Yeah. You were going this way.
No, I was going that way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was going this way. I promise.
Okay, good. Perfect. See?
So
I was just doing it really soft.
Oh, okay.
So I would keep the simmer. Okay.
So next up, we're gonna add oregano essential oil. You can use oregano fresh, you can use oregano dried. I was just sharing just a moment ago that I'm choosing to add a couple of these ingredients as essential oils to just show people at home, if they have oils of certain foods and plants, feel free to use them, using them obviously sparingly because they're a lot stronger, but they will add a lot of flavor and the medicinal benefits. So I'm adding a single.
I don't think I have that.
You're fine. It's more like an option.
Okay.
So these, again, this is like in a yoga class. You know, you can take your down dog or you can take child's pose. So
exactly, we're taking child's pose right now.
And I encourage you to go as restorative as need be.
Right?
So with the oregano, oregano, as I mentioned, is super amazing. It's got a lot of great properties. And I'm adding just a single drop of the essential oil. If you're going powder or fresh, you can add a tablespoon and that would be the equivalent. This is a good chance now to give it a deep stir from the bottom if you haven't already stirred.
Okay.
And now we can add in our tomatoes.
Okay.
Oh, we got tomatoes.
Yep. And our
Beautiful,
chickpeas or our
beautiful
beans.
tomatoes.
Those are great.
They're so pretty.
Plus beans.
Oh, and the
Yep.
beans. Okay.
Yep. So
Okay.
I did the most economic thing I could do, which was I went to Costco and I bought a big pack of diced
Perfect.
tomatoes.
Okay.
You actually went to Costco at this time? Were people fighting?
I went to Costco weeks ago when I knew this was coming. I had a little bit of foresight. I'm fortunate that I have some friends in the healthcare space that were like, do this now, be on this. So we're going to have that guy in there. I'm grateful that I did because stores have since been ravaged.
Yeah, yeah, empty shelves. So I have 2 cans of beans. Do I add both cans?
Yeah, you can add both cans. It depends how much quantity. We're making the quantity for about 4 people to eat this meal twice. So essentially it's 8 portions.
Yeah, we're making enough for like a family of 5 or 10 right now. This is a lot of food. Should I add more water? I feel like it might need more water.
If the ingredients are rising above the water by a significant amount, yes. But if they're just kind of peeking up out of the water, but they're kind of submerged, that's fine. We don't want this to become a soup. We just want this to become a curry.
Probably a little more.
What do you? Yeah, a little bit more. What do you think?
Can you see in there?
I would add a little bit more water, yeah.
Okay. They're so pretty. This is so
They're
pretty.
so pretty.
So pretty.
So tomatoes are great. They have an acid naturally in them, similar to that of that of a lemon or lime in the citrus family. People may not know, but tomatoes are fruit and they have a lot of natural acid, which helps them break down other vegetables. So in this process of letting them simmer together, they're going to help aid the pre-digestion, the simmering process.
I love this information.
Me too.
This is fantastic.
Me too.
So next up, we're going to add a couple of other ingredients. While I was talking, I added 1 drop of clove essential oil. If you have powdered or dry or fresh cloves, I would add the equivalent of a teaspoon.
I don't, but we're gonna do the child's pose for this one. We're gonna take a pass while you do like Warrior 3.
Perfect.
Any yogi understands that.
Yes. So we're gonna do a balance here. We'll make it balanced. So while this is simmering, we're gonna let this take a little time. Let this simmer. We want it to be on a light bubble, right? So we don't want it to be a rolling boil. We want there just to be little popping bubbles in and around the curry. For people at home, do not put a lid on it because we want some of the water to get soaked up by the vegetables. So if you put a lid on it, it'll actually keep that water from getting soaked up or evaporating, and it'll stay more like a soup. So depending on your preference, I'm gonna do it today with no lid.
Okay.
And for people at home who are making this and they're 1 person or 2 people, this recipe is intended to be eaten now or later. You can freeze portions of it. You can put it in your fridge and save it for later. If you freeze it, it thaws super easy the same way back in a pot. So I encourage people, make a bunch. Make it when you have the time and then have it ready for later.
Such a good point.
Yeah.
Why do the work twice,
Exactly.
I have a special ingredient here. I'm just going to share about it just for a second because it's one of my favorite. It's called galangal. Galangal is a root similar to ginger. Similar in its family, but its flavor profile is so different. So we have ginger. We think of ginger as, kind of tart, kind of sour, got a little spice to it. If you took a ginger shot, you know what I'm talking about. It's got a strong kick. Galangal tastes more like citrus and pepper. So it has a whole nother flavor palette, and it's really popular in Indonesia and Thailand. So it's a really beautiful herb. I'm going to add just a dash of this. What's cool is it's considered a superfood. It's high in ORAC superfood list. I'm literally just adding a dash.
I love him. He's so good. So good.
So
we're just like fawning over you.
We're fangirling.
Yeah, we're fangirling.
Okay.
Well, I'll take new fans any day. You guys are awesome.
Okay.
So I'm adding a little bit of the galangal. It has a lot of great properties. Even right here on the jar, it says, also known as Chinese ginger. It's used a lot in Asian cuisines. And it has a peppery flavor unlike ginger root. And for a lot of people, this may be a bit out of reach, but again, ginger is like the everyday supermarket substitute. I like adding both together. It adds like an interesting dynamic. It's a really beautiful spice. It seems to be really valuable for health benefits as well. I haven't done a ton of research as to its main benefits, but I know that it's also anti-inflammatory. So while that's simmering, we're gonna leave that there. We're gonna, for all intents and purposes, we don't have to watch it. If it's doing its job, if it's simmering, we don't have to keep eyes on it. It'll be fine. For people who are a little bit more cautious or maybe a little bit absent-minded, throw a timer on, put it for 15, 20 minutes. It doesn't really matter. I'm gonna throw it on just for education's sake. I'm gonna put on for 16 minutes. And on the other side of the kitchen here, I have a rice cooker. For people who don't have rice cookers, rice is super easy to make at home. Throw it in a pot. It's usually 2 to 1 for the type of rice that I'm doing, which is a basmati rice, which means 2 cups of water to 1 cup of rice.
I have a rice cooker. I'm half Chinese. I grew up with a rice cooker. I love it. Just put it in, leave it, and then all of a sudden you have beautiful rice.
Amazing.
Like
so,
you said, you can also do
And of course, I brought the boil in the bag. Rice.
perfect. So rice
Still
is
rice.
awesome in this time right now because little do people know, but rice has protein. For vegans, we don't often acknowledge it as a sufficient protein, but rice actually has a significant amount of protein, and when combined with other amino proteins, it provides a whole complete protein for our diet. So
isn't it true? I remember taking a nutrition class, I don't know, in my early 20s, and it was always, if you wanted like all of the essential amino acids, you would always have rice and beans. Correct?
Yep.
Woo!
So that's what we're doing here is we're creating a complete protein in this process. And I'm actually adding a couple of other ingredients that we weren't going to mention in nutrition classes, which is seeds. Seeds are an excellent source of fat and protein, especially when we're moving and we're active and we're doing stuff. It's really important to have that. So I put a little bit of fresh rosemary in my rice. I'll let you guys see here. There's little flakes in it. This basmati rice is not a sticky rice, so it's really easy to move and handle. I think it absorbs flavor and liquid nicely. I think it's a nice substitute for like a sticky rice or a short grain rice. I'm leaving that in the rice cooker. Mine's already done, should be ready to rumble. And
okay,
then,
I have a rice question.
Sure.
I didn't have white rice, but I made black rice. Is that okay?
Black rice is awesome. A lot of people don't know, but forbidden rice is high in antioxidants. So black rice or forbidden rice has a ton of antioxidants, similar to that of even a blueberry. It's a ton per weight. So it's a really great source of that. I also highly recommend, if you guys can, people who are watching, find any of your grains sprouted. The reason is our bodies are not normally designed to digest those types of grains without them being sprouted or germinated. So if you can get them sprouted, it gives your body an easier time to digest them, less bloating, less gas. Yeah.
Oh, that looks so good.
Okay.
Yes.
And so the sprouted stuff, if you have belly issues,
I do.
should help.
Yeah.
That should help.
Totally.
Okay, look at this beautiful rice.
That looks so good. Look at that rice. It's
Gorgeous.
rich looking.
Oh, and can I just talk about my little rice, what do you call these? A rice paddle?
It looks like a sex toy. I'm just saying. Like,
No, it's a beaver.
That didn't save you at all. I thought it was going to be a save,
No,
but it wasn't.
Okay, I'm done. And
There's a hole.
done. Yeah.
There's a hole, and you're digging it. You're just digging the hole.
with the beaver.
I'll be
Digging the hole.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was so good.
Well, let's put a dam. Let's put a dam on that beaver for a minute, and let's
I'm so
deriver.
impressed with this.
Let's deriver up some pumpkin seeds.
Oh, okay. So that means.
So for you guys, you have sunflower seeds, which are similar in the sense that they are high in protein, high in fat, lots of good vitamins, vitamin B, vitamin A.
I don't have
pumpkin,
a lot. How many are you looking for?
just a cup.
I
That's
don't even
fine.
have a cup.
That'd be fine.
Let's see.
Yeah,
Perfect.
Mm,
that'd be fine.
it's like half.
Do you have any other seeds like hemp seeds or
I
chia
have hemp
seeds?
seeds. I have hemp
Perfect.
seeds.
Let's split it with hemp seeds. And you know what? Just for
Okay.
efficacy, I will also do the same.
Yes. Okay, hemp seeds and sunflower seeds. Perfect. I love hemp seeds. Oh,
Me too.
Is it true? Is it true? Do you really love hemp seeds, or are you just saying that out of solidarity?
I've never even heard of them.
really? Oh my God, they're like the best. They're like salmon.
I had no idea.
Right? It's like salmon of plant world. Really? Yeah,
See, I'm not one to shame anyone, so I'm not going to tell you how
Right.
awful it is to hear that. But I will say, now that you have heard of it, they're amazing. They have
Look,
2 of the
I'm gonna
3.
give this to Dayna Devon. I'm going to give her a bag at this
Of hemp hearts.
coronavirus time.
Thank you
There you go.
so much.
So tell us about hemp seeds.
Hemp seeds have 2 of the 3 amino acids, so it's actually going to help you build that protein really strong. It's a great way for.
Luis is calling. I have to.
Oh, you're getting a call.
I have to call. Oh.
No, you're good. He'll come back.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, you're back.
I'm back.
Wow, these are amazing. I had no idea.
Yeah, it's the
10
greatest
grams
thing
of
ever.
protein,
It's the greatest thing ever.
12 omegas,
Put it
3
on
and
your
6.
toast. When you have avocado,
I had
on
no
your toast,
idea.
like, throw it on your salads and your smoothies. It's
That's
the
I had
best
no
thing ever.
idea. Honestly.
So the hemp seeds and the pumpkin seeds or sunflower seeds are going to create a complete protein.
Okay.
And also going to be super rich in fat. So I'm adding, because I'm doing both, I'm probably going to do about 1.5 cups. You can do about 1 cup if that's what you have.
Okay.
The recipe that I've got here in my head, this is all improv, by the way, for people at home who are wondering, where am I going to find these recipes? Well, this is being created for you on the spot.
Oh, cool. So, okay, we're going to create a cup of hemp seeds and sunflower seeds.
Yep. And once that's in the food processor or in the blender, whatever machine you have at your disposal, you can do this by hand, but trust me, you don't want to. This is much more fun and fast in a food processor or a blender. And like any good Asian home, I hope you have some sort of soy sauce, tamari, coconut amino.
I have coconut.
You have coconut amino right here.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And how much?
So we're gonna add about 4 tablespoons of that. I have this company, Ocean's Halo. They make a soy-free soy sauce, and I love it. It's water, molasses, sea salt, apple cider vinegar, some culture, some mushrooms, some kelp. What's great is they use a lot of mineral-rich and vitamin-rich ingredients. So I really appreciate them as a company. It's not like I'm sponsored by them or anything.
But you want to be.
But I want to be, yeah.
Why not? You said 4.
Yeah, adding about 4 tablespoons. And then we're gonna add a little bit of water and a little bit of oil. You can add
How much
avocado
water?
oil, literally like a shot of water.
Okay.
And the same with the oil, about a shot of oil.
Is that too much? Oh, shit, wrong one.
It's okay. Perfect.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay. Look, a little chlorine won't hurt you. Whatever's in there.
That's okay. Oh, wait, you said water and what else? Oh, olive oil.
Water and oil, yeah. So you can use the avocado oil, the olive oil, whatever oil you want. We're not gonna cook this. This is ready to be eaten raw. And once you've got those kids in the pot, we're gonna add 3 spices to this to really make it super delicious. And those spices are paprika, which we're gonna add about a tablespoon.
Okay.
How much olive oil or how much oil?
About
again?
a shot glass worth.
All right, there we
I'm learning English today. It's my first time.
How much paprika do you want?
Paprika, about a tablespoon.
Okay.
And while one of you is doing this ingredient, maybe the other one will give a stir to the pot, get that pot nice and rotated.
What's that? This looks so good.
So after a little paprika, we're gonna add chili powder. I'm using chili powder. You can go back to using cayenne for that flavor. I'm gonna switch to chili powder so it tastes a little bit different from the curry.
Okay, how much cayenne should we use?
Chili powder. Hold on. He said chili powder.
You said, or you can use cayenne.
Oh,
But if you have chili powder,
I have chili powder.
perfect. Let's use that.
Okay.
If you got it, awesome.
Okay, we have chili
It's
powder.
about a half teaspoon.
Okay.
And lastly, that superhero friend of ours from before, cumin.
Cumin. Superhero.
Because it's super cumin.
Yes.
Super
Keep the dad jokes
Did
coming.
we ever use the
Look what you
fenugreek?
started. So
The
this
cumin.
one, you can use about 2 tablespoons worth.
Oh, the cumin.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, good run out of, yeah. Okay.
Some people will add a little salt and pepper to taste. If your soy sauce already has some salt in it, you don't have to salt it. The one I'm using has no salt, so I'm gonna add a little salt now. This is just at your own discretion.
How much cumin? 2?
How much cumin?
About 2 tablespoons.
Okay. Is it okay if I stir with this still?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so like, see, I don't cook. So when I see something that like,
Looks like food.
that we created, like, it's like I made a baby. Like, it's like, actually, this took more work than making a baby. Like,
Really?
yeah, I mean, you know, because you just grow it in your belly. Like this is like, I'm like really proud of this.
I'm really happy to know that the food baby we made here is something you're more proud of than your own children.
I got plenty of
Okay.
those.
So I'm gonna grind this all up. Because that's
Okay, so before you go and blend it, before we blend it, I want to encourage, this process is really simple. What we don't want to do is we don't want to blend it and turn it into a paste. What we want to do is we're going to pulse it. There's a function on pretty much all blenders and food processors that says pulse. And we're going to pulse it till it gets thick and chunky. It'll start to look like taco meat. It'll start to look like ground beef visually.
okay.
And that paprika is going to give it that color as well. So excuse the volume, but we're gonna pulse it till it starts to look thick and chunky, but not till it's a paste.
It does look like taco meat.
It totally does. Okay, I'm gonna let you do this.
Yeah.
So I will use sometimes a rubber spatula. And I'll use a spatula to just scrape the insides to bring it all back to center.
Like how small should the pieces be?
You're gonna want them to be pretty small. It doesn't have to be super, super blended, but again, small enough that it's it can look like it's a taco meat sort of texture.
Okay, so I think mine needs to be a little more.
And I think mine is just about right. So I'll show you guys to see what I like the texture to look like.
Oh, then this may be okay. Can you see mine?
Yeah, perfect. Looks gorgeous.
It looks pretty good, right?
Awesome. So now we get to remove it from its vessel. We'll take it out with our spatula or our wooden spoon, whatever tool you're using. I also encourage people, if it's a machine that can take the blade out first, do so you don't destroy your spatula. I have totally destroyed a lot of spatulas on the blade of a blender.
Right.
And we're gonna scrape this into a bowl. This is gonna be our topping. This is gonna go on top of our curry.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is not my kitchen, so hold on, I'm gonna find a bowl. You should see how organized this kitchen is. I've never seen anything like it in all my life.
Oh yeah, no, Liberty's like me. We have a way of doing things, and if it's not in that order, we can't even function. So
it's amazing.
Similarly.
She's also like a total cook. She has all the little cooking supplies, you know?
Awesome. So once that's scooped out of the container into a bowl, it's pretty much done.
Okay.
You don't have to do anything else to it. You can even go in for a little taste, see if you like the flavor of it.
Okay. Okie doke. Hold on. Oh my God, it's delicious.
Yay.
It's delicious. You can eat just that.
Oh yeah, so sometimes I'll use that as a taco meat. I'll actually make tacos.
I was gonna
Chop
say, it
up some
tastes like
cabbage.
tacos.
Yeah, so you could make a
Oh
raw
my God, putting that in
vegan
cabbage
taco.
would be amazing. Like, you know, lettuce rolls.
Yeah, exactly. So what I'm gonna do now is this is a good point in time to add the last flavor to the curry, which is the sweet. So I'm gonna add maple syrup. And we're gonna add about 2 to 3 tablespoons of maple syrup.
Okay, hold on. I wonder, I don't see what she planned for that. So hold on, let me see.
It's not imperative, but it's always nice to have it in there. It well rounds out that cayenne flavor.
Okay, hold on. I can't get over how good that flavor is.
It is wonderful, isn't it?
God, it's so good.
Amazing. That's a good
Okay, I
note.
do see honey. Oh yeah, we could use honey. Okay, so I see wild rata honey, raw, or raw unfiltered creamy wildflower honey.
Let's use the first one.
Okay, the wild raw.
Yep.
And how much should I use of that?
About 3 tablespoons.
And it goes into the curry mix, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And this, again, is just to add a sweet note to the flavors that are in there, because now we've added a lot of warming spices. The honey is going to create a soothing texture. It's going to sweeten up the dish.
Heaping tablespoons or just regular?
Regular tablespoons.
Okay.
And people, as they do this recipe, are going to discover what their palate, their mouth, and flavors desire more than, say, the next person. So my recipe is built off of what I enjoy. But you may find yourself more keen on sweet, so you add an extra flavor of that. Or maybe you're feeling more in the spicy range, so you maybe add extra cayenne. So it's important to discover what your palate likes individually. And that's the beauty of cooking, is it's not as much a science to me as it is to other people. To me, it's an art form. So I get to treat it as that marriage of art and science, where you get to learn about what the foods do and the relationship to the anatomy and the physiology. And it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be flavorful and interesting, and try something different each time. It doesn't have to be the same.
Yeah, I'm sure it kind of tastes a little different each time, right?
Yeah, especially because certain times a year I'll say, you know what? I'm not feeling as much of a warming spice. Maybe I want it to feel more cooling. So I'll do coconut milk as a base, or try something different. Maybe add, a licorice or anise to sweeten it up and give it that licorice flavor.
Okay, all right. This is coming out like amazing, I can tell.
So we want the pot. We want the pot to be a rolling simmer.
You want the pot to what?
To be simmering, right? So nice little bubbles, but not a big boil.
Oh,
it's so good. You want to try it?
What is it?
It's like freaking like taco meat kind of business. Here, we're running out of spoons, so I give you a fork. Okay.
See, Liberty, you leave for 5 minutes, and you come back, and she's now.
Is that like, okay? By the way,
oh my God,
the thing he said, I think that is like the key.
Oh my God,
is he was like, what if you put that on like lettuce cups? You know how like wouldn't that be amazing?
That is so good.
And how easy was that?
I mean,
I didn't even write that stuff down.
This is amazing.
So later I gotta rewrite that one down.
That one I can actually. This is amazing.
It's like to die for.
And it's so easy.
And it's so good for you.
And he just came up with that like off the cuff, by the way. That's amazing.
Like lettuce rolls would be unbelievable.
Unbelievable. I have lettuce. We could make little lettuce cups.
To wrap this up, let's
oh my God.
So if you guys have This you may not be doing today if you don't have apple cider vinegar. That's okay. I'm going to show you guys what fire cider is. A lot of my friends and community members will use this in the wintertime, especially during the flu season.
And fire cider is in the family of like a shot. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm just gonna start putting.
Yeah, let's just start.
Keep talking. We're just cleaning while you talk.
So you take notes and you listen, and then I'll put the stuff away.
And this is, tell me again what this is called?
Fire cider.
Fire cider.
So, what about, I have an apple allergy, but that's only me. Most people are not allergic to apples, but I would love to know if there's an alternative to apple cider vinegar. But
I would say a white vinegar is okay to use as well.
Okay.
Perfect. Apple cider vinegar has a lot of healing properties. That's why it's so popular. So for the sake of this recipe, I'm going to just kind of walk you through it with the traditional ingredients, and then you could substitute. So I'm going to make about 4 portions, so 4 servings of this. So I'm going to do a whole cup of apple cider vinegar. And I'm using just a little NutriBullet style blender. So a cup of apple cider vinegar. Some recipes will call it ACV. That's its little abbreviation, its little nickname. Then we're going to take a whole lemon, and we're going to juice the lemon in there. I like to use a fork to juice my lemon. Some people try to squeeze it by hand. Using a fork creates this sort of like macerating effect.
Okay.
Get the fork in and shimmy the fork back and forth.
Okay.
That's out all the juice. So apple cider vinegar, a little lemon. Next up would be the honey. So if you're strict vegan and you don't really feel comfortable using honey, I totally get it. All good. There's maple syrup for people who don't. But I'm going to use honey for this. So it's the most traditional. Honey has a lot of amazing immune benefits. Really, really good for the system. I would recommend researching honey. It's really good if you're getting it from a good source. It also benefits apiaries and bee farms that really need our support. So the bees.
How much honey did you use?
I use about 2 to 3 tablespoons.
2 to 3 tablespoons?
Yep.
Got it.
And what's good is while we're doing this is about the time that it's going to take the curry to simmer to the optimum quantity.
Right. All the timing works out.
Yeah, and that's why we started this way. We try to layer things. And when people cook at home, they sometimes forget that the end result, you want everything to kind of coalesce together. So discovering what things take a certain amount of time to layer them, it's really valuable. It's a good skill set to have. Lastly is cayenne pepper. So with this one, I'm going to be more strict about my measurement. And I'm going to scoop a ½ teaspoon.
Oh, someday we need to make this like.
Yes.
And I will say, fire cider is not the most delicious, meaning it's not something I would.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Like
It's like medicine.
yeah, it's like but actually, you know what? I really think I'd actually like the taste because I love the taste of vinegar. I love the taste of cayenne pepper. I love lemon, honey. I love all that.
Yeah.
But
So-
you know what? This is like the best thing for people right now because it's like a, in like the Hispanic culture, they make like a medicine drink kind of.
Totally.
And it's pretty much this, but they add tequila.
Oh.
You know?
And damn it if you don't feel a lot better after that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go stir.
So whether or not the tequila is working, you're going to feel good. So for today, just for the people who are dealing with flu-like symptoms, I'm going to add a little bit of turmeric and a little bit of black pepper as well.
Dayna, which one is yours? This one.
This one.
That one's yours. Okay.
How much turmeric? How much black pepper?
About a teaspoon of turmeric
Okay.
and about a dash of pepper. Really not a lot, just a little dash.
Okay.
Now,
Didn't write down.
I'm gonna. What's up?
Oh, that's true.
So now I'm gonna just put this on the blender.
They're the best.
I'm gonna give this little.
They're amazing. You have one out the blender. You make your smoothie and then you just put the top and you go. Like, and it's a really good blender.
I love that. But I love the Vitamix.
Oh my Vitamix finally broke. But
Really?
I actually
All right.
like it better than the Vitamix.
And that right there is
Okay.
what it should look like. It should look.
It looks so healthy and yummy.
Looks like orange juice. And that is pretty much it. So I think we're at a good point now where we can turn off the heat on our curry, give it one last.
Okay.
We're gonna let it cool for maybe.
So
a
it looks amazing. Oh my gosh, this looks beautiful. Beautiful.
And just a little recap. This curry is anti-inflammatory, antiviral, antiseptic, promoting good respiratory health, good for
You
inflammation.
never ate another thing. You could live off that.
Mm-hmm.
You could live off that.
For all intents and purposes, you can. And a lot of people around the world live off of this and similar dishes like a khichdi, other types of soups and stews. It's really popular because it has all those essential minerals and vitamins needed to survive. So our curry is pretty much done. Our topping for the curry, which is our seed meat, is done.
Seed meat.
Seed meat.
Seed meat.
I love it. I'm gonna turn you vegan.
Seed meat. And it was amazing.
And then our rice is done. So I'm gonna put together a little bowl. You guys want to do the same thing.
So you're gonna do the rice and then the curry and then the seed meat.
Just for the visual, I'm gonna do it the other way. I'm gonna do curry, then rice, then seeds.
Okay.
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 Okay. So we're gonna do curry.
I am
Rice.
so excited about it.
I'm so proud of you.
I can't even
You
tell you.
just cooked.
I
Oh my gosh, this is the first. I did. Brent is gonna be. Your kids are gonna be so
They're
proud
gonna
of you.
lose their minds.
Oh. Okay. Look at how beautiful this is. Okay, wait. So the curry.
Yeah, curry. Okay. By the way, where do you live?
I'm based in Venice Beach.
Okay, and is that your house right there?
You're in my home.
This is the. I mean,
I know. I have really cool friends.
yeah, you really do. You really do.
Welcome to the fish tank.
Fish tank.
Okay, we got our curry. Then we're gonna do our rice.
Okay.
My
And then he put a big spoonful of meat, seed meat.
And I want you to take some home to the kids and show them that you cooked.
I am so impressed right now. Look how pretty that looks.
And I'm gonna add a little bit of sesame seed, white sesame seed on top, just because I like the visual and I like the nuttiness of the sesame seed.
So great. So great. He loves food so much. He loves it.
Okay, and then the seed meat.
Okay.
We should take video of this.
It's out. Oh yeah, we should get shots of this. Yes.
How did he do the seed meat?
It's amazing. It's so easy.
No. Like, how did he place it?
Oh, just right on top, kind of like you did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. So it's like a little Buddha bowl.
It is.
Exactly what I was just thinking.
Oh wait, let me clean up
Here.
the
Sides.
clean up the sides. Okay.
So it looks better.
Oh my gosh, Dayna, we just
We
made,
did it! We did it!
and
We did it!
like
We did it!
healthy and viral, fighting stuff.
Here.
Hopefully it's not viral, just antiviral.
Exactly.
But maybe
Exactly.
the recipe will go viral and we'll all be winning.
Yes. The only thing we want to go viral is this recipe.
Yeah.
Here, wait. Let's make a prettier thing.
Let's do it prettier.
How about over here?
Okay. Okay, that looks good, actually. Here's move the notepad. Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna tilt the camera down so you guys can see.
Oh, look.
Looks so good. Yay!
Oh,
Okay.
made the most
you want some
delicious
curry?
thing ever.
Oh, try it.
Right?
Oh, try it.
It's really, really good. Really good.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, look at fishes. It
smells
looks
amazing.
so good. It looks
Where did
so
you get those
good.
white bowls? Or should I put it? White bowls right there.
Or he can have some wine. Because I'm going to have a bite.
Oh, right here. No.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
How do you guys do?
Oh my God, we had so much fun.
We're still doing it.
You're gonna
We're
love
still
this.
doing it. It's amazing. I think we need fish on the
Have you ever had
weekly
seaweed?
rotation.
Hi, babe. Oh, so good to see
Okay,
you.
wait. We're
Have you
going
ever had
nuts
seaweed?
over
Try it. Should we all
So-
try it?
I wanted to show you something for the people at home who didn't know what to do. If they made the veggie stock from veggies and they didn't just buy it, I took my veggies and I put them in the food processor, those boiled down veggies, after I stripped out the liquid, and I added some cashew yogurt. You can use coconut yogurt, and I made essentially like a greens yogurt, and I added rosemary, thyme, and so now I have this sort of like Indian style raita, this yogurt that I'm gonna now add on top.
Oh my
Of
gosh.
course,
Of
of course.
course. Of course. Well, I mean, after, we get out of this quarantine, we can actually cook all together
Yes.
in person. But
Exactly.
until then,
Okay, can we try it?
we should try it all
All
together.
right, guys, you ready for this moment?
Okay.
Yes.
First bite.
Okay. We're ready.
Okay. I'm so excited. Okay, ready? Oh
Oh, that's good.
It's really good.
so good, right?
I added too much quiet
It's
pepper.
so good.
No,
I
It's
love
really
it. So
I like
spicy.
it
It's
spicy.
really spicy.
I like the spicy.
I do too.
It has great kick.
Oh my God, it's so good.
Mm-hmm.
And I know some people are like, they like to do one little bite of this thing, one little bite. I'm the one who likes to mix it all
Oh my
together.
God.
I like to mix it too.
No, this kind of stuff I like to mix.
Yeah. So good.
This is delicious. I
So
love
what's
the kick.
interesting to me is that
Oh my
there
God,
was
it's
no
so good.
curry powder in the curry recipe,
That's true.
right?
So it's a common misconception. Curry powder isn't its own spice. Curry powder is a mix of the spices that we use.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Wow, this is
He
really
is
good.
so.
You know what's so funny is when we were making the seed meat, I was like, I don't even think we need that. Kind of in my head, I was like, whatever. The seed meat turns out to be like my favorite part of it, like bringing it all together.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
So
You know, I love that idea of the yogurt.
Mm-hmm.
That's-
Yeah, that would be good. That would be a good thing to kind of cut, especially we went a little too hard on the cayenne.
You know,
but
so I love it so much. Like,
It's so good.
I'm sending my
This is so
yogurt
much-
to you digitally. I'm just
I
sending,
make my food so spicy it makes me sick.
This is delicious. Actually, it's better because
What is that?
I'm sending my yogurt digitally.
Wow.
Oh, virtual yogurt.
There you go.
Thank you.
but the spice here
Mhm.
is so better for your metabolism.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So
You're absolutely right.
you eat less, number one.
Yep.
You eat slower, so
Uh-huh.
you get to enjoy all the flavors.
Mm-hmm.
And then certainly, it
This
just
is so good.
gives you a little bit of extra energy.
Oh my God, I'm so glad you did the dark rice. It's so good.
Yeah, the black rice, so good.
So
Mm.
for people who are wondering, I have one of those cute little boxes of curry spice.
Oh, you do?
And I'm just going to read off what the ingredients are.
Okay.
Because it's pretty amazing how almost exact we were. So the ingredients in this curry pack is paprika, turmeric, fenugreek, cumin, black pepper, coriander, ginger, cayenne, and mustard. The only thing we didn't add was mustard.
I had no idea. Like, there's so much information. I'm going to rewatch this. I'm going to break it all down, and then I'll post it. Like, there's so much good information in
It's
here.
delicious.
It's so damn good.
So good.
It's so good.
Fish, thank you for taking the time and sharing your spirit and your time and just like your love of food and your knowledge of
You're
food.
gonna be famous. I'm just telling you. You're gonna be famous. No, you're gonna be famous. Like, honestly, you're so good at this. You were like born for this.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
So was I, clearly.
yeah,
I love it.
I hope
Right?
I hope that's a lesson for everybody at home. This cooking is it's an art form. It's a meditation. It's a science, but it's something everybody can do. And I encourage, if people have the time, like we do now, to cultivate a real relationship with food, to have an intimate, meaningful relationship with what you put in your body, because
True.
In
Absolutely.
what you get out.
What a good point.
If you're having a beautiful relationship with food, then you'll likely have a beautiful relationship in other parts of your life as well.
Oh my God, that's so true.
And I really
So
believe it's interesting. My history, and I didn't really share about where food comes from for me, but my parents are both chefs. I grew up in the food industry, and I've since worked in kitchens and restaurants and done my own catering work and designing food for companies and different things. And throughout my time working with food, and I've been plant-based now 10 years, I've been really exploring not just how to make food delicious and not just how to make food easy, but how to cultivate more meaningful relationships for other people to have with their food. And I think one of the biggest things is to not get caught up in a recipe, to not get caught up in a cookbook, or to get caught up in an Instagram picture of what it's supposed to look like, but to go into it with a hope, not an expectation, a desire to have something meaningful, to really cultivate something special. So I hope that lands for everyone.
You know what I loved about you too? Is you don't get too hung up on like, oh my God, if you don't have that, we can't do it. Or, oh, that's way too much, you got to throw it out. You know, you just kind of roll with the punches, which when you're cooking with someone like me, you have to do, because I just do. I just screw everything up.
And it's okay.
Oh my God, it's so good. I can't even tell you.
Because
I hope
This is like life-changing.
I hope that this journey is the perfect invitation for you to realize that you were never screwing it up. You were just adding your own unique twist.
I was just ahead of my time.
And you still get to be.
see, and this is why he's part of my tribe, and I love him so much.
Oh my God, this is so good.
Such a sweet soul, right?
This is so good.
And knowledgeable
Delicious.
and smart, like
So-
functional science.
And funny.
Normally, if
And
you're
funny.
doing this at home, on your own time and your own flow, you can actually get this recipe started, cooked, and plated, ready to eat in like 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So you can actually have food for 8 of your family members or friends, or food for the rest of the week, prepped and made in under an hour. So I encourage people, if you're excited, do what we did, have fun, play with your friends in the kitchen, get silly.
My nose is running.
So
It's
running.
so
I know.
spicy.
For anybody out there that's watching, I don't have the coronavirus. It's just actually.
We added 4
Give me
tablespoons
one of those.
of cayenne instead of 2 teaspoons.
This is
We added 4 tablespoons. of
4
cayenne
instead of 2.
instead of 2
Table-
teaspoons.
Oh.
Okay.
It's a
So it's
sign
a level 3 instead of a level
Yeah.
10. It's a level 3.
Okay. We don't want to take up too much more of your time.
Well, I'll finish with you on just this little note here. I'm gonna take a shot of this fire cider, and you get to watch my
Okay.
get a fun reaction video out of it. It's potent.
Potent. Fire cider. And the fire cider, let's talk about what's in it.
You know you're going to live to be 117? Aren't you going to be lonely?
Well,
Actually, you're not going to be lonely because Liv's going to be with you.
I'm gonna rally
It's
all.
going to be you two.
I'm gonna rescue all.
That's it in the plan.
Right. Right.
Oh, look at that. Do it.
Cheers.
Cheers. Woo! Oh, that was a big shot.
A shot
That
of
was like
what?
a gulp.
Good for you.
What do you have? A shot of
It's like
It's like ginger, apple
like
cider
really
vinegar,
healthy.
lemon, honey, cayenne, turmeric, black pepper.
Oh, that's good.
it was
Yeah.
like,
He should come over to the
Now-
house and feel like, oh,
Now I get to be with you guys
Yeah.
and have a very open sinus.
We should have
Yeah.
like a little
It's
party,
like-
have them over,
yes.
yeah.
and then
yeah.
we can teach everybody.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
We could like hire him. He could
Yeah,
come over
yeah.
and do a whole thing.
And then
once we're allowed to see each other and
You
there's
video
no
it?
more social
Yes.
distancing,
Yes.
we are
Exactly.
maybe this is what we need.
Yes.
Maybe this is our segment.
Mhm.
We add fish to our segment and we cook.
Yeah.
Healthy, functional
So-
foods.
Mm-hmm.
I love
Fish or
quarantine
you.
cuisine though so much.
Quarantine cuisine.
He calls it quarantine cuisine. How smart is that?
Coin that. Coin it.
All right, fish.
Well,
Thank
thank you guys
you.
so much.
It's a
Thank you.
pleasure meeting you, by the way.
Lovely to meet you, and thank you for allowing me to come in and share some fun and some food and art and science with you guys, and hopefully let's do it again soon.
You
Awesome.
are so awesome.
Love you.
Awesome, guys.
Thank you. Have a beautiful night.
Thank you.
God damn, this is good.
Bye. I know, so good. Namaste.